everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo!
Yoo-hoo!
If you've ever wondered how to shift your life, crank up that inner flame, and begin to achieve or receive whatever you desire, then do we have the decision-making show for you. Today we'll be talking about the power of decisions, how to shift your gears, move towards your dreams, and bring out the positives even when the chips are down. That plus we'll talk about coaching magic, the power of Jerry Maguire, singing in the shower, escaping to Philly, and why Juan Pablo and Gustavo, the fish that is, aren't who they appear to be. So welcome to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woo! So before we dive right into things, I understand we were delaying the show a little bit this morning, and why is that?
Because it snowed in Seattle. It's a big deal. We've been talking about the snow for about 4 days here, and people are getting prepared for the snow. If you turn on the evening news, you would have seen a person walking in a pair of boots last night and saying, "This is what the snow looks like." And she had her foot on the asphalt and she was moving her foot around. She's like, "I think there's about an inch." And they're like, "Pan over here." And then they looked at the camera, panned over to, it was a planter stand. And she's like, "Look at the snow." And so there's there's just like an inch.
This is cool.
An inch of snow, and they're like, "It's snowing out here." And they're like, "Focus up." And then they were looking at the light so that they could see the snowflakes falling down. And I just thought, wow, like, it's such an unnatural occurrence here.
I was driving.
News. That's the news for like 15 minutes. I swear to God, it was ridiculous.
I was driving through the Panhandle, Panhandle of Florida, probably 20 years ago, and they were getting a dusting. And on the radios, they're going, "It's the end of the world. Get off the roads. If you don't have to be out, stay inside. You're not going anywhere for days."
Well, the funny thing is so when you're driving, the problem is that if I'm from the East Coast and I lived in Boston and I used to live in New Jersey, and so it snows all the time, and you get used to driving in the snow. If you don't drive in the snow, you can't go to work, and you have to go to work. So you learn how to drive in the snow. So,
usually the first storm is a little sketchy, though. Then people remember.
Yeah, they remember. But, it's not like this. People around here, they get worked up into a tizzy. And so, or they don't realize they've never driven in snow, so they don't realize the power of the snow and that their car fishes around. So they may be driving just like they do on a regular day. And so those are the people that are most dangerous. So they'll come to a stop sign and they're driving at, if you're in a 25 mile per hour snow zone, you drive at like 15 miles per hour.
Right.
These people are driving at 25 miles per hour. So when they come to a stop sign, they can't properly stop. And so they fishtail all over the place and they cause problems because they just don't know how to drive properly in snow. So that's actually the most dangerous thing in Seattle are the people who don't know how to drive in snow. So they're a menace. They're a menace. And the streets aren't plowed, and so people freak out because there's no, there are no snow plows like you have on the East Coast.
I made another technical error. I went to college in Colorado, and so I was always driving home to just north of Boston, so in New England, in snow country where it'd be packed snow roads for the whole winter. And I made the tactical error at looking at the map, and there was a giant blizzard in the center of the country. And I'm like, well, I know better than anybody else. The best way to avoid a blizzard is to drive south.
Oh, wow.
And driving south across the heartland of the country, when there's a snowstorm in the middle of the country, you think, well, there's going to be less snow. It's going to be easier to get through. No, just like you're saying, the drivers didn't know what to do when it iced up even a little bit. And there's no emergency crews. There's no plows. They don't know how to deal with this. And so you've got pinballs on the road. Much better to actually go north into snow country.
Where people know how to deal with it. That's
bingo.
Interesting. So anyways, that's why I'm late, because I said, Michael, it's snowing out, and I just want to enjoy the snow before it all melts away. Probably in an hour from now, there will be no snow, and it will have turned into rain.
Did you get some photos, and how deep was it?
Oh, it's an inch. There's no photos.
Is it a deep inch, though?
It's all slushed out. But the nice part is I got out there early enough to You know when you step on snow and there's kind of like a little crunch, like you feel your foot rolling, you hear
Almost
this
squeaks.
crunch,
Yes.
crunch, crunch, crunch. I got that for a good 30 minutes when and there were parts that the rain wasn't affecting and there was enough snow that I could get the crunchy walk on the snow. But sadly, my boots failed me. So I had wet feet, and at the very end, it was like a club foot because like my feet felt like two frozen packs of meat. So because they were completely saturated and frozen, so it was kind of painful at the end. But most of it was just the joy of being out in snow. It was really pleasant.
Cool. And I'm going to brainstorm for you as author Barefoot Running, Barefoot Walking of what footwear, what natural footwear is going to be best for your feet for the winter. And I'll get back to you. Maybe I'll even
Okay.
talk about it next week because I've been going through this dilemma for running,
Yeah.
which is I've been smitten with running sandals over the last year or two.
Yeah.
Last winter, I went back to shoes for the winter. I don't really want to go to traditional footwear, and I'm like, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. We've had a few dustings. You can see some more coming in the next few days. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm so used to these things are being barefoot. And yet, and there are videos of me running in the snow barefoot, but I'm not going to go to the trails and out in the rocks and the tree stumps and everything
Right. It's just
and
too
tromp
much.
around
Yeah.
barefoot in the snow.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So I've been pondering.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's hard because the shoes get wet and then it feels I mean, then you're running around with wet feet. I don't know. It's like it's the protection is barely protection if it's rain and
Yeah.
snow. But anyhow, so tell me about you have a long list of interesting things.
And I guess
Yeah.
I've got to send those back
Yeah,
over
send
to
them
you
over to me
here.
so I can see them, so I can remember them all.
Da,
So
da, 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 da.
so you're making decisions. That's I remember.
So, okay, they should all be over to you now.
Okay. Escaping to. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So first of all, you said that you're making decisions. What kind of decisions are you making?
Well, we're talking about the power of decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and I put out a newsletter yesterday that got a really positive response. Was talking about how Jessica, she had been sick with mold toxicity poisoning when we came back here a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she limped along still sick for at least another 6 months until she made a decision and said, "That's it. I've had enough of this. I'm going to find a way to get healthy."
Mm-hmm.
And she started to get her health back online. And we know since then it's come all the way back. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
we've been challenged with a lot of different things recently. We talked about on a show last week, Jessica and I talked about the audit that we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a decision when you're going through an audit, which is this is the worst experience in the world. And obviously, they're not the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make a decision that no matter what's going on right now, I'm going to have fun with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jessica's been pulling out her colored markers and,
That's
and
fun.
going after the bank statements with all this color and stuff. And we've really shifted a gear. It's something I say with my coaching clients. And I try to scare coaching clients away in the beginning because I really want to test them and get an idea on this. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. If somebody's made the decision that they want to change their life and improve, you will help them change their life and improve.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody hasn't made that decision yet, there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a limp along and an eke along in existence.
Right.
We've had so many different challenges this fall, and recently we've been making positive decision after positive decision, and the last few weeks have just been magical, on fire for us.
Mm-hmm.
Just incredible, and I'm convinced it started with a decision. We follow up that decision by pumping out as much positive energy as we possibly can and looking at every way that we can shine bright, that we can raise the vibes up. But it's all started with our decisions.
Okay, so what was the first decision that you had to make that kind of had a ripple down effect? You give me a sense of what you're talking about.
So we haven't put that much emphasis on putting all the systems in place for our business.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great business, but it has never been what it's capable of being because we focused specifically on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We also were working on our podcast launch accelerator, great things. but we never focused on how do we bring all the pieces together. That's the alignment that we've talked about. 2017 is going to be the year of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
When we said we want to take our business to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
and we said we don't just want to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
We're deciding this is it.
Right.
We're shifting gears. All of a sudden, pop, 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 and we're going, wow, wow, wow. We've had on Dane here from Access Consciousness and Simone Malasas from Access Consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
where they like to ask question statements to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And one of Dane's quintessential, is that the right word for it? One of his flagstone, the sayings that he's known for the most is, how does it get any better than this?
Mm-hmm.
And so when something's going right, you go, how does it get any better than this? Mm-hmm. When something's going wrong, you want to shift that energy. How does it get any better than this? And we've been watching all this stuff taking place at a time where we should be under the covers crying. and we're going, how does it get any better than this? Here's another gift, positive gift from the universe. Mm-hmm. How does it get any better than this? Here's this person reaching out to it. How does it get any better than this? We said we did this thing, twice the Michael at half the price?
Right.
I love coaching. Nothing makes me on fire more than the three things of coaching, speaking on this mic, and speaking before an audience. A close fourth would be writing, but you don't kind of get amped up in the same way for writing.
Right.
And our coaching docket is almost completely full. We've been looking at where can we fit more space in for people.
Yay.
And it is, I think the energy of us right now, our coaching clients are completely taking off because we're on fire right now. And we're watching more coaching clients coming in. And it's just been this.
Oh, fantastic.
We made this shift and it came from a decision. How are we going to take things to the next level? We've talked about having group coaching. Now Jessica's like, the numbers are there. People want the group coaching. We're going to get this together at the beginning of the year. Boom. It's all coming from a decision. And so I'm looking around me now at people, particularly when people write in coaching, anything of this sort, and going, what are the decisions we can make now, today, in this moment? The things that we've been saying, when the time is right, or I'd really like to someday, or I don't know, it'd be really cool, but... And I'm saying, let's make that decision.
Right.
Let's make that decision and commit to it. And we're obviously a few weeks before the new year, and I'm not a big fan of quote unquote New Year's resolutions because those are the things get flushed down the toilet in a couple of weeks. I'm talking about making a powerful decision to change your job, change your life, change your living situation, change where you are in life, to go for your passion, your dreams, whatever it is, but to make that shift. Wow, I'm actually sounding like a televangelist or something. I'm just so on fire about this.
So what is the magic that's happening with your coaching?
I think it was the shift because we put out two disparaging thoughts or something to the universe, which is one, we said, we love our show. We're cranking with the show, but because of the show, we don't have time to do much coaching. And then saying, would you like to be coached by me or something? And obviously my ads were beyond bad. And we've discussed that in detail. And I apologize to everybody for my ads on the show. But I think part of that was the lack of congruence between I'd really love to coach more and I don't have time.
Okay, got it. So the decision that you made that resulted in the magic. And is the magic the thing that you're talking about? So I think I get it. You're saying that what happened was you changed your mind about it. You decided what is the quote with the Dane thing? How could it go any better?
How can it get any better than this?
Okay. So you kind of shifted your mindset. And then what happened is that magic translated to getting more clients, and also the energy got kind of translated to your clients. Is that
the energy with the clients has been incredible, and it's come from a realization of, I was saying I don't want that much coaching because I don't have quote unquote time. But this is something that I challenge people on a daily basis, is those things that you say you don't have time to do. Some of them are what give you the juice, that give you the energy. For instance, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to work out.
Mm-hmm.
These are things I don't have time to put good quality food in me.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that take time on the surface that actually pay back bigger dividends.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's true.
meditate, you're going to have more energy throughout the day and you're going to be clear of mind. You exercise, you're going to clearly have greater stamina. You're probably not even going to need as much sleep because your body is feeling so much better. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, putting in healthy foods, all of those things take place. Sleep better, work better, more energy. You feel, for lack of another term, better in your body.
Right.
So by putting that time in, more comes back. And when I realized that about coaching, that
Mm-hmm.
the more time I put into coaching, the more on fire I am,
That
then
it's
I'm like,
actually additive to your life versus it's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
and so I have been on fire with the coaching sessions. And every time I'm like, it comes to about 7 o'clock at night, I've just done the upload for the day. I'm trashed. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, what am I going to do? And Jessica's like, you've got coaching coming up. Oh, coaching. Okay. I can do this. I can do this. And I made you some blueberry pancakes. Woohoo! That's like my thing right now. It's blueberry pancakes. She made it with chocolate chips and banana last night. I couldn't believe it.
Nice.
And then she's like, all right, go. And she's like, puts me into a slingshot. And the coaching, and I think I had 2 sessions last night, and I finished those sessions and I felt on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And my coaching clients are responding to that because it's all energy. It
Right.
just is all energy. So I've got the energy, given them the energy. I've got double the energy back from giving away all the energy I have.
Right.
And each day it's been having a cumulative factor. So the thing that I love to do, that I was putting out a conflicted message to the universe because of coming from a place of lack and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Once I dropped that and said, no, I love this. It sustains me. It's helping others. I feel great doing it. The universe goes, your wish is my command. Boom. And I go, how does it get any better than this? More. How does it get any better than this? And it's just been dumbfounded.
I think I know the power of Jerry Maguire.
Well, that's that. Dane talked about that. Simone Molas has talked
Okay,
about
what did
that.
they say? Who
Show me the money.
who's Dane and who are these people? I'm sorry,
These
I've never heard of
people,
them.
they're both authors with a specific type of healing and prosperity modality
Uh-huh.
called access consciousness.
Okay, and what does that
And
mean?
access consciousness is a way of challenging how you're looking at the world on one level, and there's a whole. It's about questioning your circumstances, breaking loose from who and where you are in your circumstances, putting yourself into a positive place, and really, really living each moment as if that's all you've got. Now, specifically, we were talking with both these guests at separate times about prosperity. And they're saying one of the most challenged areas for people to have prosperity, and particularly people who listen to probably both of our shows, is that we're better givers than we are receivers. And we think there may even be something wrong with receiving. And so we shut off that channel. I want just enough so that I can help others, but I don't want a lot for myself because that's going to seem somehow wrong or greedy. And so we shut that channel down, or we eke by, even at a very high level, we eke by because we're embarrassed to receive. And what they teach is that is energy flowing. And if you want to help others, if you want to do good in the world, you have to be willing to receive yourself. And that this life is meant to be played on a very large stage. And that doesn't mean literally on stage. It means you're allowed to have and should have all the abundance, joy, money, whatever it is that you want in your life. You're allowed to have all of that. You shouldn't feel guilty about that.
Oh, interesting. Well, it's funny because I'm approaching it from a completely different angles because I have a different goal. So your goal this year is about aligning
Yes.
everything so you can kind of like have huge amount of momentum moving in a certain direction. And as we talked about a couple weeks ago, mine is about awakening the heart, and which is a really interesting process. And as I've been exploring and diving into it, I feel like I was describing this to my girlfriend, like I was opening up the cupboards. I'm like, so what's in here? Like just doing an inventory.
I like it.
of everything. And what I found was like, oh wow, there's like a whole bunch of stuff, little painful little memories that I'm like, oh, I didn't know you're in here. I'm like, oh, let me look at that. I'm like, okay, and then there were these three safes. I imagine in my mind, I imagine them as three little safes that have this like rusty little safes with a key, and I have the key, and I'm like, oh, what's in there? I don't know if I want to go in there, but I'm going in there and thinking like, I don't know if I want to open up these little safes because they feel like they're repositories of painful memories that I don't want to necessarily have. And so my focus over the last couple of weeks has been about like, okay, it could be like I open it up and it's a little kitten pops out, or I could open it up. You know what I mean? Like it's just almost there's more fear and trepidation of opening up those kind of things. And the reason why I'm going through all of this is that it's parlaying against all the stuff we've been talking about. Fall is about letting go. So, I have these three gigantic safes. I don't even know how deep they go. And if I don't open them up, I really won't know. So I'm kind of clearing out my heart space so that stuff can be received. And one of the things that I realized about the way that I've been navigating my spiritual journey is one of, and this is because this is kind of the way the story is told, right? In most religions and spiritual journeys, is that there's some cheeseburger in the sky, man with a white beard. Who the heck knows what it is? There's
Parental figure.
Yeah, there's some authoritative figure out there giving me a sense of what I should be doing. It's like, Lord, please tell me, how can I be of use and service in this world? And that's been my kind of refrain. It's more like, how can I be of the highest good and highest service to myself? It used to be, how can I be of the highest good and highest service for the world? And then I was like, hey, I count. So I'd be like, how can I be the highest service for myself and the world? And now I'm realizing like that whole model is helpful, but then like it's about giving all the time, and there's not a receiving, and it's a model in which I think we've been inculcated in believing that we are only supposed to give. And like you'll receive just as much as you need, just again, the thing that you said, just as enough as you need in order to give more. But I've been really kind of questioning that model and saying, well, I get this, but then and like if I open up the receiving and if I open up the world to spirituality, I've only been subscribing to this way of thinking, and then finally like a little new thing popped up to say, oh, well, wait a second, aren't you supposed to receive too? And if I am supposed to receive, how does one receive? And when I've been going through all my meditations and journeys, shamanic journeys, what I got was that it's like your heart is like a reservoir that can be filled to the brim if you are open to receiving. First of all, it has to be empty, which mine isn't. My reservoir is full of like, 3 safes with keys I'm not willing to open. and
So you get to bleed the lines there.
Yeah. So it's like, I got to get these things out of here. And then I have to be willing to receive, which it sounds so hard, but we just don't know how to receive. I mean, I had to literally do journeys. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's just a matter of opening the door. And I was like, no, it's not about opening the door and receiving guests. It's about being like a vessel. This is at least what my journey said, and receiving downloads and wisdom and information and love and healing. That's what it means to receive. And so I'm like, oh, well, I want that. And it's like, yeah, all you have to do is open your heart and remove the blocks. Because if you were talking in a couple shows, we were talking about heart blocks. If you have heart blocks, you're not only blocking the pain, but you're also blocking the exquisite joy that comes along with it. So I'm right there with you. I'm approaching it in a completely different way because my goal is different than yours, but very similar kind of exploration, I think. Does it sound like yours?
No, it's not only is it very similar, but I've been having real fun with this again lately. And so I'm going after those safes as well. So one of the really cool ones I found this week, I was at, Whole Foods with Jessica. And I eat a very clean diet by almost anybody's standard. And Jessica's, been having fun baking and doing things of that sort recently. And I get to the register and I hear that there's a cookie sale. in Whole Foods, and that their chocolate chip cookies are now 25 cents each.
Oh my goodness, that's a great deal at Whole Foods.
So, I'm sprinting over to the bakery. I miss. I don't get there fast enough. Because it said limit 3 and I was going for it. I get back to the register and Jessica's like, you would never allow me to cook with the stuff that's in a Whole Foods cookie. Why would you even think about it? And I started digging and I started figuring it out and I flashed back to college. And I found what the darn thread was. I found one of my safes.
Oh.
So in college, I went to the Colorado College, Colorado Springs, a private school, a couple thousand students, and at the time, mainly very wealthy students. And I came from a middle class background. My dad was a fisherman in Gloucester, Massachusetts, like fishing town, USA, and had all the fishermen did payroll and stuff for all the fishermen in town, and said if there were any fish left in the sea, we'd be millionaires. But they were the way the government was cutting back on fishing and the fish running thin, he was really struggling. And so I went to school on a food plan, working at Domino's Pizza, delivering pizza to the school, which was really weird because you're delivering to the rich kids.
Yeah.
It felt really bizarre.
Right.
And I was on the food plan, and all I could, quote, afford was my 3 square meals a day. The trick is I have the metabolism way beyond a squirrel on crack. I don't know what you call.
Well, you work out a ton. You're burning calories, a ton of calories every day.
I was training to become a professional cyclist.
Right.
And so, and I was a hypoglycemic. So I had blood sugar crashes left, right, and center. So 3 meals in a day was insanely too little for me. And so what I used to do is I used to wear, because you had to check your backpack outside so that you didn't take food with you. So I'd take my extra baggy jacket or something, and I'd be filling up the arms of the jacket, the sleeves. I'd leave kind of looking like the Hunchback of Notre Dame because I got some bread rolls stuck up by my neck. And I got bananas down the sleeve, and who knows where else there were bananas. And this consciousness of there's not going to be enough is an energy block that was still in me. And I had absolutely no idea until I'm going, why do I want cookies that I wouldn't let Jessica make for me just because they're 25 cents?
Right.
I can buy a regular cookie. I can buy a damn good cookie. Why is it these that I need? Because they're, and I'm like, wow, there's a hoarding consciousness going on here. And Jessica's like, yeah, you just noticed that now? There was a she can see all these things, but to get it to me, I got to see it on my own.
Right.
And so I've gone after that with emotion code and with tapping, and I'm going to go after that some more. So we're on the same path. I'm very excited to see all of these screwbally wirings and garbage that are inside of me. Maybe that's part of my decision right now is I want to get light for the new year, and clearly with our automatic writing and meditating more and taking the time. I'm on the spiritual journey too. It's how they all go together. But I really want to get light and figure out what has been all of the junk, because some of these shifts in consciousness, in finding the junk, is what's allowing us to shine bright right now, because we're figuring out what are these blocks, what has been holding us back. And that has taken a decision to say, all right, show is going tremendously well. It's not quite clipping along on all cylinders as you'd like in other areas, and you really want to take this to the next level. What's that going to take? Well, it's going to take dropping the boat anchor. What is the boat anchor? I don't know, but if I'm willing to admit that I'm probably carrying a half dozen or more boat anchors in my pockets, or safes as you call them, and I'm willing to open up, as you call it, the safes, good things can only come of it.
Yeah, it's funny. My husband and I were just talking about this because he just went to get a PT. He went to the physical trainer. Is that what they're called? PT? Is that the acronym?
Physical
Anyways,
therapist?
physical therapist, and he's having a shoulder issue. And this guy was just cranking his shoulder all the way back, and he was explaining that our body has a memory of pain. And so it says, yeah, the last time you did it was really painful. So even though your range of motion is much further along than you think it is, I'm just going to go here because I remember last time it was painful. So I'm not going to allow you to do the full range of motion. And so our brain doesn't know that because of the pain, it's created a threshold that we can't go past. And so really it's about having a person who knows like the full range of motion is way further than that. So his physical therapist was just like taking his shoulder and cranking it to the full range of motion where he knows the body is capable of doing it. So he can go to his brain going like, wait a second, I can do that. Oh, I don't realize I could do that. So you're retraining the neurology or your central nervous system to know that it's capable of doing it so that new information can go to the brain. Feldenkrais works on the same operation, but they, unlike the cranking, they do kind of gentle, weirdish motions that you didn't know you could do, and it's so easy that like little by little they break down, this motion into like 20 different motions, and they have you do that over time. And because they're so painless, your body goes, oh, new information. Oh, didn't realize I could do that. Oh, I didn't realize. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now, and that you're doing too, right? When you're opening up the safe or dropping the anchors, you're kind of going, okay. Like, I didn't realize that I could, it's going all the way. Like, I have this range of motion that, I can go way, 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 way further than I thought I could. But it's because our brain is limited in the way that it's thinking of things, which I thought, well, I never thought about that from a psychological standpoint. But that's exactly what you're doing in coaching, right? You're taking small little steps.
It is. I've got two pieces to this which are really fun. First, I had a karate sensei many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he would have you to learn how to kick higher.
Mm-hmm.
He would have you put your arm out in front of you but fairly low, and you would kick out till you hit your hand, and then
Right.
bring your leg back down.
Right.
And then kick out, hit your hand, bring your leg back down. And then you gradually start raising the hand up
Mm-hmm.
until you kick the hand, come back down, raise the hand up, kick the hand, come back down. What you're doing is tricking the brain. The brain has a guarding point at which it's going to stop the leg, sort of like the shoulder. And when you keep raising the hand, it's going, oh, I know I'm safe till the hand. Oh, I know I'm safe to the hand. And you keep on raising it, and the leg relaxes and starts to be able to kick up higher and higher. And I think that's what both you and I are doing in life right now.
Yeah.
I've been getting it out of my meditation and my automatic writing. And it's something that actually started last year with my running too, and both of these pieces. Relax. You're going to be okay. We're going to take care of you. Now, whether we is angels, guides, or just our intuitive self,
Right.
when we believe in ourselves more, we do open up that field of possibilities.
Right.
And so where I'm going, I don't know. This was me maybe a month or two ago. I don't know if I have that much time to commit to coaching, squashing it down. When I said, have faith. Let's see what happens if you take on a little bit more. Oh, I took on a little bit more. Actually, I've got even more energy. That felt really good.
Right.
Take on a little bit more. Oh, actually, wait, I have a lot more energy. And it's just like you're describing that range opens
Right, you just keep on
up
taking
to you.
more. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because it was interesting because I was telling my girlfriend about this, and I'm like, I'm kind of afraid of, like, if I were to encapsulate the generalized fear that I have, it's the fear of the unknown, right? Like those safes are, I don't know how deep they are. I don't know what happens when I open up that safe. Like it's the fear of the unknown. And I said, because the last time I did that, it was really painful. And she's like, really? When was the last time you did that? And I explained to her, and she said, I was with you because we walk every week. She said, I was with you during this time that you had your so quote unquote painful experience. She said, it wasn't so painful. Like you were laughing, you were learning. But what I remember were the painful pieces of it. Like she said, do you remember you said you learned about this and you learned about that and you learned about this? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And she's like, yeah. And you were learning, you were growing, and you're clicking. And there was no, like, I'm pretty, and she's very intuitive. She's like, I did not feel any pain. But what I find is interesting is that you go back and retell the story as a painful story, even though it really wasn't I was watching you. You were in pain. But the memory of the brain is like it remembers the pain because it just doesn't want to feel pain again.
It sounds like an ego protective mechanism.
Oh, it's totally your ego going like, you remember that. You don't want to feel pain again, do you? And even just that experience that I had in September where I had another spiritual awakening, it was weird. For about a month, I couldn't feel my lips. Do you remember? I couldn't feel my lips. They were all numb. I couldn't taste things. So I'd
You're
be
dressing all in black.
Yeah, I mean, it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing. Like all my body sensations were like it literally. I had so much energy run through my body that it burned out. Like it was like burned out like 15 different light bulbs, and things weren't working properly. And it's like under construction was on my like an under construction sign was on my chest for like a month, and it was like. But I also had, I cried when I saw clouds. I could feel the utter beauty of the silence and serenity. So, but somehow I forgot that. I just remember all the negative things, So I was like, I don't want to go through that again. But I think it's interesting how the body does that, right? Or the body or our ego or whatever tricks us into remembering the pain versus
so true.
Yeah, the positive. And so. Thank God I have friends and a great husband who's like, yeah, that really wasn't the story. The way that you're telling it is not as bad as it really was. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. But it's interesting how the mind does that, right?
It does. And it's just such a wiggly worm that way. I think it goes back to maybe the power of journaling. Mm-hmm. If we can write during those times and come back to it.
That's a good point.
In our case, we've got a video journal going here. Mm-hmm. So we could go back and have you go back to those episodes. And certainly, at least for when we're talking about when you cracked open, had your Joe Dispenza experience, it was the most positive thing in the world for you.
Right. But isn't it funny? I mean, it's funny how the mind retells
we'll
everything.
Rewrite it for this horror story. And the fish gets bigger and how painful it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to die, Like it's not that bad. But I just think it's interesting how, and, I think at this point and you know what I also realized, I'm like, wow, I actually, when I thought back till last February, what happened is exactly what's happening for me right now. I had a huge spiritual awakening or experience, whatever you want to call it. And then I went into a fear of the unknown, and then I just let go, and then all this magic happened. But it was interesting because it was it's a stage-by-stage process where I go, something great happens, I start questioning and getting scared of it, and then I kind of open up the chest, do whatever, and then I accept it, and then I'm taking 4 jobs, working all of them at the same time. Not realizing I could do all of them at the same time.
What's really exciting to me out of this, and that I think we can all learn from, is that when we follow that cycle that you're talking about, is it's always after the moment of your greatest fear, mm-hmm. that when you drop that or hang in through that time period, everything opens up for you.
Right.
And it's always, they say the dark is before the dawn. It's so true. When you're freaking out, and go, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. I'm going to have to drop this. I'm going to have to do that. Blah, 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 blah. If you can just deep breath and hang in there through that time period, all of a sudden the sun comes up on the horizon. It's like you're hearing a choir of angels, and you're like, wow, I had no idea. It's almost as if you're judging the experience by the burning of the rocket. Mm-hmm. And all of its rockets, mm-hmm. and you're going, this is awful, make it stop.
Great.
Not realizing you're about to be out in orbit, seeing the stars, floating in space, and have the most blissful experience if you can just hang in there instead of hitting the bail button.
Right. Or go or spiral down. Like I think it would be very easy to go like, oh no, it's going to be like this forever. Oh my gosh, and just go spiraling further down. And so it's really preventing yourself to just know that. I think your rocket launch was a perfect analogy because this is just the stage. You know, when you let go of the refuse? What do they call that stuff? The part of you let go of part of it so that the engine can take off, right? But it has to let go of all that stuff.
Retro rockets is what you're going for.
Yeah. You know how they drop everything? So that's the thing that they need to propel. And it's interesting.
Or booster rockets.
Yeah, it's a perfect analogy, isn't it? Because it's the thing that you need to kind of like boost you into propel you. And it's like a fiery moment of hell, right? Where you're in there probably
That's
shaking
how it
like
is.
crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I love that analogy. All right, so tell me about some of the other stuff. Escaping to Philly, and
So that's Jessica in her little Suzuki right now. She's making a mad dash, well, more of a relaxed
right,
sprint down to Philadelphia for the weekend for a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat.
yay!
And I'm so excited that she did it because certainly we had the rockets going off beforehand going, Will, is it wise for you to go? We have the audit coming up next week. We're building this giant case. Can you take the time for yourself? And I'm so proud that she did it.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her for doing it. And I think something special comes out of every experience that we think something special will come out of it.
Mm-hmm. I
But
think that's right.
I'm convinced it's going to be a very good thing for her. And the time away, even though she brought the books and the markers with her, but I think the time to step back and breathe into her own, this is going to be the vacation she needed after the vacation she had that
Right.
wasn't
What's on a
to
vacation?
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be really. I mean, even if it's the, you know what, I don't feel like I have enough time, but I did it anyways, and you just always end up making time. Like the other day, I had two books. I was on a Michael schedule. I had two interviews back to back, two books I had to read, and someone said, "Hey, do you want to go to lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't have
Hey,
any time whatsoever.
yes.
And I was like, absolutely, I'll make the time. And you know what? I just ended up not reading the last two chapters of the book, or, and I'm like, I didn't do a write up of the notes. Like, it just, I think things, if you make the time for things that are important to you, things just end up, you'll work around it. You'll figure out a way to make it happen. Just like the coaching, where I was really afraid that I couldn't do coaching and also the radio show. And then I just thought, well, I'm never going to know until I just do it. So then
Yes.
I did the coaching, and I found exactly the same thing that you found out, which is that the coaching is so invigorating and exciting for me that I cannot not do it. It's just
Bingo.
I'm in my sweet spot, and it feels so good to give back to people, and it's as giving to me as it is to the person that I'm coaching every single time.
I
Um,
want to, oh, go.
yeah. Well, sometimes it's just the poignancy of like what they're going through, and like either having traveled that journey before and remembering it and going, wow, I remember being there. And it's just a poignant moment to see this person. Sometimes, like all my clients are crashing every, almost every single one of them is on a crash course. So, and not
An
surprisingly,
accelerated growth curve.
yeah, no, they are. They're completely on. Yeah, most of my clients are on a crash cart right now. I mean, every single one of them, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness the human journey, and it's also beautiful when I hear from people. I'm like, I just got the job. Oh my god, I didn't realize I didn't think I would ever. Like, and that happens almost every time too, where someone comes and they finally decide I don't want to do this job anymore. And you know what? Like the perfect job ends up arising almost every single time. And I can't guarantee it, but it happens almost every single time. It's
It's
crazy.
it's it's easy to see where the magic happens when you can step back from it. When you're in the fishbowl, when you're the one in the experience, then you think this is the end of the world. This is forever. Whether it's losing a partner, whether it's losing a job, you think the next one, the next something, it's never going to come around. That was my chance. It's gone.
Right.
But when you see enough of the human experience, particularly as a coach, you realize this is just a temporary blip on the radar. They can't see it because they're in the thick of things right now.
Right. 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 Yeah. I've had a couple people just, like, oh my God, the world is over. I'm like, okay, like, tell me why the world's over. And, you have to go in it with them so you can just see, their worldview, because you can't get them out of that worldview unless you go in it with them and understand where they are. So that's just beautiful to just, in some ways, to witness and see, like, wow, the power of the human mind to create all these stories that are just like, so I'm like, okay, so, this and this happened. What does that mean about you? It's always like, I'm a loser. I have no value. I'm not, it's always the same thing. So sometimes I'll be like, so you're probably thinking, I have no value. You're like, yeah, like I'm like so great of a coach. It's like, no, because I've heard it 1,000. I've heard it from myself. I've heard it from all the other
Been there,
clients.
done. one of the decisions that you made that I think is an important theme for everybody, and it's a really important thing we all get to do, is you're honoring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And we are making a decision to take care of ourselves and to take care of our needs first and foremost. And that gives us the energy to help everybody else. It's coming back to that receiving thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is so important to put the oxygen mask on yourself before anybody else. And I think the whole world changes when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something from day one we have been taught not to do.
Right.
But that's not the right thing to do. But you wouldn't go on an airplane and hear them say, put the mask on the kid first, you're going to pass out, but everything is going to be all right.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that self-care it's a theme that I keep on forgetting, and that is important. So, for example, I got probably about a week ago that I should sign up for a massage because I had like these glute pains from doing clamshell exercises. You know, the clamshells, you go like this with your leg. Oh my gosh, because my hips are really weak. And I need to work on my piriformis. So I thought, well, I'm going to, like, it's painful. It's actually getting to a point that it's hurting my back. I need a massage. And it took me a week to book the massage because it's just something that we don't know how to do well. I think I'll leave it to this. I'll say I don't know how to do well because I'm just more like, oh, well, you know. But it keeps on coming back. So thank you for reminding me about self-care. It's important. It's important.
It is. It's
Yeah.
huge. So go ahead.
Okay, but Pablo and Gustavo.
Juan Pablo and Gustavo. So there's been
excuse me, Juan Pablo, your fish.
Yes. Juan Pablo the fish. And did I tell you last time? So Juan Pablo is this kind of bug-eyed goldfish at the local gym that we talk to every day we come in. And the last time, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or not, about a week and a half ago, we were talking to Juan Pablo and how it could be lonely as the only fish in town, so to speak. And the manager overheard us. And the next day we came in and Juan Pablo had a Gustavo in his life. And he had a sidekick. Apparently there's some movie that there's a Juan Pablo and Gustavo, and people who know this movie are going to be going, Michael, how could you not know this? My apologies. And so we got a sidekick in Gustavo, and also 2 snails showed up, which we had talked about as well, because you can't get just one snail because the snail might get lonely. And apparently, according to the manager, Brian, you don't want to get 3 snails because if then 2 like each other and the other doesn't, you got the odd man out.
Wow.
So there were 2 snails in the tank and Juan Pablo and Gustavo. And these fish have gotten along very well. They've gotten along stunningly well. In fact, they've gotten along so well that it turns out it's not Juan Pablo and Gustavo. And apparently there are going to be some kids on the way. I know.
Oh, so is it like, how big is a little fish? Is it a fish bowl or a tank?
It's a tank. I don't know if it's a 5 or 10 gallon, how you judge that. The fish are about, 3 inches long, and they've got maybe a little bit less than that, frilly kind of fins.
Oh, yeah, those pretty ones.
Feathery kinds, and they got these big bug eyes.
Yes.
But they almost look like they could be looking sideways at the same time. And chances
so
are
do you know
that,
because the fish, one of the fish, the new fish is kind of bigger, rounder, or?
well, the way Brian, the manager, put it is, and he was trying to say this delicately to Jessica this morning, he's like, well, last night when I was here, they were kind of, they were sort of, anyway, there's going to be kids now. So apparently he caught him in the action.
I've never seen fish doing it. Now I want to watch a video.
I don't even know how this works.
I just
And
want to
that's
watch a video
for
now.
a whole nother show.
I'm sure on YouTube there's got to be like a video of fish doing it, so we can see how Pablo and Gustavo.
So apparently Juan Pablo is more like Juanita.
Juanita, yes. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So this is an exciting development.
Yes, the unknown. The unknown.
And I don't know, it all comes down to a decision. I'm not sure what the decision was there. He made a decision to get another fish so they wouldn't be lonely, and now they're going to be anything but lonely.
I'm good. I've never seen a family of fish. It will be very interesting. You'll be able to track the whole story.
Yeah. And then the next question is, well, if he got 2 snails, how does that work?
He'll just have a whole menagerie of like different sea creatures in that thing. Oh my God. That is, now, how is that connected to what we're talking about? So, is it about the unknown? When you just go into the unknown, and what they say with you when you go into the unknown is that the divine creates, right? If you step into the unknown, when you open up the safes and you say, yes, I am going to step into the unknown, then you surrender your own game plan and you let the divine game plan show up. And in theory, the divine game plan is way better than anything you could have imagined or even tried to do on your own. And so there you have it. You have Pablo, Gustavo, and it just, yeah.
And I'll throw
Juanita.
one more theme with that, my
Yeah.
final theme, which is love, when you bring love to the table. Now,
Yeah.
clearly, Juan Pablo and Gustavo brought some love to the table, or Juanita. But Brian was showing love by making sure that one wasn't lonely and bringing another one to be there.
Yes.
And if I go back to the power of Jerry Maguire, so I watched recently Cuba Gooding Jr. getting his Oscar that he got as the best supporting role for that movie. And if you haven't seen him accept his Oscar, you have to watch that on YouTube. The amount of energy and love that he brings to that 30 seconds or a minute. I love you, this person. I love you, that person. I love you. I love you. And he ended up getting a standing ovation because of how much love he was sending out to everybody. And that love is contagious. And so if you pump up the love for yourself, you pump up the love for everybody else around you, you pump it up for Juanita and Gustavo, you're going to feel good.
Yes,
you're
I
gonna
agree.
feel really, really good.
That is the best closing ever. It's all about love. Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, then. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou
saying, be well, have fun, make a decision, and follow the love, and shine bright.
Woohoo!
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.